Hey guys, hope you're doing good this morning. Oh, been a interesting day. Still moving a bunch of dirt over here at the property. Decided to take the property down a little bit lower to create a little bit better of a foundation and give us a little more space for the kids to play and some different things. So excited about that. Been playing on the tractor. Had a few little issues, not too bad. So wanted to take a minute and tie some of the spiritual things we've been talking about into some practical thoughts, just for everybody for a little while. One of the things that I'm enjoy and call to and just keep up with is business and entrepreneurship, and I stay pretty heavy in that world. My wife and I, between both of us, own, I don't know, 4 or 5 companies, so we do all kind of stuff, and a couple of them have done really well for us. This new one I just started is a retailer's shop online, and it looks like it'll be doing 6 figures this year, so it's going to be pretty good. Now granted, I won't keep all that money, but the money will pass through, so it's pretty cool. But I wanted to talk to people for a minute about the economic situation that we're currently in. Every generation thinks that they're the one that's going to see it collapse or fall or this or that, whatever. So I'm not a doom and gloom kind of guy, but I look practically, and I'm a pretty intelligent guy, I believe, and I keep up with things, not necessarily in the news, but just research. And I learned how to trade a good bit last year dealing with crypto, and I've been applying a lot of that to our current situation, just looking at stuff, But basically, there are things economically that are happening that are unprecedented in our time. So during COVID, the government released a ton of money, right? Stimulus checks and the PPP loans to keep on, businesses being able to keep, employees on and things like that. So what we're seeing though is most all that money's gone, right? So one thing it did is it elevated the amount of debt that the country was in, which is, on a practical level on our day to day, that doesn't really affect us, It does and it don't, but not really. You're not going to go hungry because the country's in debt, right? What it does though is it can cause things to inflate, right? So inflation, you used to be able to get a candy bar for 50 cents, now it's $1. Later it's $1.50, whatever, right? So that's kind of inflation. So when all that happened, a lot of these businesses and companies didn't have to do as well financially in order to keep everybody on. In order to get and keep that money, they had to pay employees to keep them going, and then all that money was forgiven, so they were able to keep basically keep a lot of their bankroll going, right? So now a lot of that money's gone, and a lot of the incentives that the employees, keeping those employees on, is beginning to dwindle. And most everybody that I know, their stimulus money's gone, right? It was about a year ago or a little over now. So what we're beginning to see is things are slowing down pretty substantially. The dollar itself on a trading level is getting really high. The DXY is what it's called, the Dixie. It's going pretty high because other currencies are beginning to fail around the world because of COVID, because of the war. A lot of other things. England right now is, their economy was really a day or two from collapsing, as in like getting called. A lot of their debt's getting caught in, so some really interesting stuff there. But they ended up turning on. They're doing some quantitative easing, which is basically essentially just printing money. And printing being a relative term, it's all digital. They just create it, right? For a lot of people that don't know how money works, is you go into a bank and you ask for $100,000. Well, if they give you $100,000, all that happens is they just created money. We work on a debt-based economy, right? So that money didn't exist until you asked for it. As soon as it gets put into existence, it's now it's a liability to you, but it's an asset on the bank's ledger, essentially. The bank can then borrow that money from the U.S. government at a 2% or 3% or 4%, whatever rate, and they're loaning it to you at a 8%, 6%, 10% rate, right? So just a really quick thing. We can get into that if you care anything about it. But essentially, there's a storm on the horizon for us. I just really want to encourage people to be ready for that, what that looks like. Obviously paying debt down, that's one thing. But right now, what I'm doing, my family and I, we're getting a bit more liquid being cash. We're trying to store back some cash right now for a few different reasons. With all the money that was passed out and handed out, and all that now being gone, I think after the holiday season, you're going to see a bunch of layoffs. I think it'll come slowly. I think, January, February, March, around those times, you're going to see some layoffs in larger companies, potentially in government agencies, definitely in larger like retail companies, things like that. You're going to begin to see more layoffs and things. A lot of that money's gone, and after their big time of the season, big time of the year, the employee needs, dramatically drop. So that's what I foresee coming. The housing market has slowed substantially. Talked about that a couple of months ago, but it's slowed down substantially. And don't take for granted just because you're still selling houses today that the market hasn't slowed down. So what happens is it's a trickle effect, right? So generally things begin on the West Coast and they end up getting here, after time. So, but the markets themselves, what used to, you could put a house out and in 30 days, boom, you got multiple offers, sometimes in weeks, it's gone, right? Well, now you're starting to see stuff on market for 35, 60 days, 90 days, things like that. So it's not unsurmountable, it's not crazy, but it's flipping from a seller's to a buyer's market. And one of the things that's happening is because the interest rate hikes, that mortgages are a bit more expensive. So now it makes things a bit more expensive to the common individual. A 1% rate increase on a 30-year mortgage means that you got to decrease the amount of house you buy by 10%. So it's pretty substantial. It's pretty interesting how all that works. But just want to encourage everybody to one, get a bit of liquid if you can. Stockpile a little bit of cash. We're stockpiling a bit of cash versus paying off debt currently. Worst case scenario, my credit score gets trashed and I can't afford to pay the bills, credit cards, whatever. I can come back from that, right? But if we don't have the liquid that we need in order to take care of our actual needs as far as like food and power and things like that, to me that's a bit more important right now. Not financial advice, just what we're doing. What I'm doing right now. We're trying to stockpile a little bit, and say you're living paycheck to paycheck and you only got $5 at the end of every week. It may be time to begin sacrificing a bit and stop eating out as much. Begin to do some sandwiches, some rice and beans and rice kind of stuff, until you can get some things together. A lot of times we look at our life as I deserve this, right? And maybe you do, maybe you don't, but when you think that way, you end up constantly overspending on things that maybe don't matter that much, right? You go get a pack of cigarettes, you go get a cheeseburger. It's not a lot of money today, but if you do that every other day and you didn't spend $8 on a cheeseburger for the last 15 days, well, now you done drop over $100. So there's ways you can save money, and I would encourage you to do that for a little bit. And just in case things slow down for you in your work, I don't know what your field is, what your work field is. A lot of people, a lot of companies are making overtime have to get okayed from upper management now. So we're starting to begin to see that, to where, overtime for a while was mandatory. Now things are starting to slow down in a lot of areas. So just be cautious as you're going out. Begin to think about it and say, hey, can I do without the combo at McDonald's or Jack's or Arby's or Taco Bell? Can I eat something at home? Can we do some food or whatever? Again, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, that's wise to do anyway, because you need to get ahead, at some level, so you don't stay there. But anyway, would really encourage you guys to begin looking at that. All my realtor friends, make sure that you guys are sitting on an emergency fund of some sort, in case we're entering the slower seasons anyway for housing and things like that. I'm not a realtor. I've been in real estate for a lot of years. I have no ambition or desire to be a realtor. I appreciate all that y'all that do it, but I've bought and sold a lot of houses, flipped a lot of houses, this and that. So I'm a bit savvy when it comes to that kind of world, that kind of network. So, but I would encourage you guys to go ahead and stock a bit of an emergency fund for you, if just for your your main expenses. An emergency fund being not to protect your lifestyle, but to protect your needs, right? Food, power, water, car bills, that kind of stuff. So anyway, I love you guys. I hope you have a good day. Be encouraged. I believe things are going to get a little bit rocky. I believe it's sprinkling currently. I believe it's going to start raining here soon, as far as the storm that's on the horizon. But at the end of the day, I do believe that there's a lot of wealth to be created in these downturns. So I'm going to kind of do some videos on some of that and how we're going to take advantage of some of these opportunities and how you can take advantage of those opportunities without any money. You know, a lot of people think, well, it takes money to make money. Sort of not. It takes knowledge to make money. It takes the tolerance of risk to make money. You can always trade your time for money. That's an easy one. When you can trade money for more money, that's kind of like, all right, let me do that, you know. So, but anyway, love you guys. I hope you all have a good day, and look forward to catching up on the next video. All right.